Hi, this is Aaron for BandLab, and in this video we're going to make a Timbaland style beat in BandLab's free online DAW. You can open this project yourself with the link in the video description, and if you find this guide useful, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be the first to know when new videos drop. I start by setting the project tempo to 128 BPM and the project key to G minor. I add a virtual instrument track and set it to drums, drum pads, vintage hip-hop kit. I add a MIDI clip and set it to 2 bars in length. I add kicks on the 1st, 4th, and 7th 16th notes and layer these with closed hi-hats. I add an open hat between the 3rd and 4th beats and layer a rim shot with a clap on the 4th beat. This basic rhythm is the foundation for the whole track. I duplicate out the first bar onto the second bar by holding Option on Mac or Alt on Windows before I drag the notes. On the second bar, I add another kick under the open hat and another kick layered with a closed hat on the final 8th note. While I like the minimal, clean sound of the vintage hip-hop kit, I'd like to add an organic touch to the beats, so I duplicate the track and set a new track to drums, drum pads, Neptunian kit. To balance the level of the kits, I set the vintage hip-hop kit track to -3 dB and the Neptunian kit track to -11.5 dB. I want to create a 4-bar sequence, so I use the loop handles at the top right-hand corners of the MIDI clips to extend them to 4 bars in length. I'd like to add some shakers next, so I open BandLab's sample library and select the Loops tab. I enter shakers into the text field. John Sturck's Shakers 1 is the kind of sound I'm after, so I drag it onto a new track and position it between the 3rd and 4th beat of the 2nd bar. I only want the first part of the sample to play, so I position the playhead on beat 4, and press the S key to split the audio clip and delete the unwanted audio. I duplicate the audio clip onto the 3rd beat of the 4th bar, again by holding Option on Mac or Alt on Windows, and make another duplicate directly after that. I turn the shaker down to -4 dB to balance it with the other elements. Now we have a 4-bar drum groove. It's time to add some music, so I create a new instrument track and set it to keyboards, pianos, lo-fi piano. This part follows the rhythm of the kick on the root note of G, with a minor 6th at the end of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd bars, and a diminished 5th and perfect 5th at the end of the 2nd bar. To make this sound more atmospheric, I open the effects panel and add a reverb, spring reverb effect, turning the intensity up to 3.7. I want to add low-end weight to this riff, so I duplicate the track and set the instrument on the new track to basses, synth basses, tropical house bass. In the effects panel, I delete the spring reverb. In the grid editor, I select all the notes using Command A on Mac or Control A on Windows and click the -12 button twice to take it down 2 octaves. I'd like to filter off the high end of this sound so that the keys track can be heard more clearly, so in the effects panel I add a tone multi-filter effect and set its frequency to just over 100 Hz. Next, I'd like to add a brass layer, so I duplicate the bass track, set the new track's instruments to winds, brass, trombone, and delete the filter effect. I delete all the notes aside from the tonic so that it just plays on the kicks. I'd like this layer to sound more staccato, so I add a dynamics noise gate effect and set its threshold to -35. To balance these layers, I set the keys and bass to -6 dB and the brass to -3 dB. Next, I'd like to add strings. I set a new instrument track to strings, cello section, and program a simple part that plays the tonic, an octave down, and a minor seventh. Again, I want this to have a staccato feel, so I add a noise gate and this time set its threshold to 32.3. I turn this track down to -5 dB. For the breakdown section, I want to use an orchestral hit, so I open the sample library and enter orchestral hit into the search field. Orchestral hit 3 is the sound I want, so I drag this onto an audio track. I want this to play lower, so I double click it to bring up the editor. I click the pitch shift negative button 3 times to tune it down to -1 semitone. I use the handle at the bottom right hand corner of the audio clip to make it shorter and use the duplication feature to make a rhythmic pattern. On the third beat, the hits play in triplets. To create this effect, I turn off the snap to grid button and manually set the audio clip's length to 1/3 of a beat, then duplicate it out. After that, I turn snap to grid back on. I'd like a vocal to accompany these hits, so I return to the sample library, clear the search field, then set the instrument filter to voice and the genre filter to hip-hop trap. Nola Bounce Voice 1 is the sound I'm looking for. I put this between the second and third beats and truncate the sample so it just plays the first what. I then duplicate this out over the rest of the 4-bar breakdown. I set the hit to +4.5 dB and the vocal to +3 dB. For the arrangement, I start with the strings playing, then after 4 bars, I switch to the brass. In the next 4-bar section, both strings and brass play. At the end of this section, the strings MIDI clip is truncated to make the movement to the breakdown smoother. After the breakdown, the arrangement repeats. Remember, you can fork this project to make your own version of it using the link in the video description. Have fun!